There is a 9-year-old boy in my barn right now, and nobody woke him up. He got himself out of bed at 4:30 in the dark and walked across a frozen yard to feed 16 calves, unpaid and unreminded. Most folks think Amish children work because we are strict, and that is not it at all. The reason your own boy would rather sit with a screen has almost nothing to do with laziness and almost nothing to do with the screen. What if that game is handing him the exact thing a chore is supposed to hand him, and the chores in your house are handing him none of it? My name is Amos Byler. I am 52. I farm 81 acres in Holmes County, Ohio, and my wife Rebecca and I raised 7 children on it. The oldest is 29 and has 4 of her own. The youngest is 6, and he milks. For 30 years, English families have come down my lane to buy eggs and furniture, and I have stood in my shop and listened to a great many mothers say the same sentence to me. It goes like this: I cannot get my son to do anything. I heard it twice last week. And every time I hear it, I think about a Saturday morning when I was 31 years old and standing in my own barn, shouting at my own son. His name is Eli. He was 8. I had told him 4 times that week to clean the calf pens. 4 times he had not. On the 4th morning, I lost my temper in front of the other children, and I said the thing I would spend 2 years trying to take back. I said, if you cannot behave in this house, you can clean pens until you learn. I made the work a punishment. Eli did the pens that day. He did them badly and slowly, with his shoulders up around his ears. And for 2 years after that, he fought me on every job I handed him. Not because he was lazy, because in one sentence I had taught him what work was for. Work was what happened to you when you were bad. That is the same lesson most modern children learn, and most parents never notice they are teaching it. Quick word before I go further. The old methods my family uses, there is more of it than fits in any one video. I gathered the whole of it into a book you can buy in our pinned comment below. The book is the long version. If you want it, it is there. I will not mention it again. Now I want you to picture 2 boys. Both are 9. Both are healthy. Both would rather be somewhere warm. The first boy is mine. He is in the calf barn, and he has 16 calves to get through, and he knows every one of them by the marking on her face. He knows which one is slow to drink. He knows which one butts the pail. When he is finished, 16 animals are fed and standing quiet, and he knows it, and I know it, and his mother knows it, and if he had not gone out there this morning, 16 animals would be bawling, and the whole family would hear it through the kitchen wall. The second boy is in a bedroom, in a house in a town somewhere. His mother has asked him to clean his room. He does not know what clean means. He does not know when he is finished. He does not know what happens if he does not do it, except that his mother will be in a mood. Nobody will see the room. Nobody needs the room. Nothing in that house will go hungry if he lies down on the carpet instead. So he picks up the controller, and in 11 seconds, that game tells him exactly what his goal is, exactly how far along he is, exactly what he did right. And it puts his name in front of other people who can see he did it. Now, which one of those 2 boys is being lazy? Neither. They are both doing the sensible thing. One of them has been given real work, and one of them has been given a chore that has had every useful part stripped out of it. And here is what I have watched for 30 years across the fence line. It is not that our children are made of something different than yours. It is not the horses, and it is not the hats. Put my son in that bedroom for a month with that same instruction, and he would be on the carpet with the controller too. So the question is not, how do I make my child want to work? The question is, what is a game giving him that a chore is not? Let me tell you, because it is only 5 things, and once you see them, you will not be able to unsee them. Here is the first thing most parents get wrong, and I got it wrong myself in that barn when Eli was 8. You think this is a discipline problem? It is not. It is a design problem. A game is not beating your chores because a game is fun. A game is beating your chores because a game is better built work. That is all a game is. Somebody sat down and built a job for your child that has every part still attached to it, and your chores have had the parts sawed off. 5 parts. Write them down if you have a pencil. The first is a clear goal. In a game, the boy knows exactly what he is trying to do and exactly when he has done it. Clean your room is not a goal. Nobody on this earth knows what clean your room means, including the mother who said it. Feed 16 calves is a goal. You are finished when the 16th pail is empty. The second is feedback right away. In a game, every single thing that boy does, the game answers within a second. In your house, the only feedback for a chore is your face, and it comes an hour later, and half the time it is disappointment. Nobody works hard for that. The third is visible progress. A game shows a bar filling. A calf barn shows 16 calves standing quiet where 20 minutes ago they were hollering. A made bed shows nothing, because by evening it is unmade again and no one on earth ever noticed it. The fourth is difficulty matched to skill. A game gets harder exactly as fast as the boy gets better. Chores in most houses are either so simple they insult him or so vague they defeat him, and there is nothing in between. The fifth is witnesses. Somebody sees. In a game there is a score and a name and other people. In your house, if the boy takes the trash out perfectly for 11 straight days, nobody will mention it once. And on the 12th day when he forgets, that is the day he hears about it. Now here is the part that should sit uneasy with you. Nobody designed the Amish chore. My grandfather did not read a book about motivation. The farm designed it. A farm hands a child all 5 of those things by accident, because a farm is real. The animals are really hungry. The wood really runs out. The garden really dies. And the whole community really does see whether your fence is up or down. We did not build a clever system. We just never took the parts off. And here is the sharp part. A game console runs about $500, and the games run about 70 apiece. And there is a company with several thousand employees whose entire job is to make sure your son feels needed for 2 hours tonight. The tool I am going to tell you about costs $9 at the hardware store. You are not competing with a toy. You are competing with the best designed work in your child's life, and you are competing with a sticker chart. Which brings me to the thing that reframes all of it, and I want to say it plain. Your child does not hate work. Your child has never been given any. He has been given errands. An errand is a fragment of somebody else's job that you handed off because you did not feel like doing it. Children can smell that from across a room. Work is different. Work is a whole job that belongs to you and that somebody is depending on. No child in the history of the world ever loved an errand. Nearly every child, given a real job with his name on it, will grow into it inside of a month. So let me tell you how we build that, in the order we build it, and what each piece is for. Start with the first one, and it is the foundation. Give the job a real consequence, and make sure the consequence does not land on you. This is the whole thing. If your son does not do it, something other than your mood has to go wrong, and he has to be able to see it without you saying a word. If the trash is his job and he forgets, do not take it out for him. Let the kitchen smell on Wednesday. If the dog is his, the dog is hungry, and the dog will tell him before you do. Here is the trick. Pick a job where failure announces itself. That is the difference between a chore and a lesson. Second, work beside him for the first 3 weeks and then stop. Not near him, beside him. Same job, same time, your hand's in it too. 3 weeks. Then you step back and you do not come back unless he asks. Here is the trick most parents never learn, and I learned it late. The hardest talks you will ever have with a boy happen shoulder to shoulder, not face to face. A boy will not tell you anything across a kitchen table. He will tell you everything while the two of you are stacking wood and neither of you is looking at the other. That is not a side benefit. For a lot of families, that is the whole reason to do this. Third, give him the whole job, not a piece of it. Not carry these 3 plates. The kitchen, start to finish, on Tuesday. And here is the trick that matters more than it sounds. The job is not finished when the work is finished. The job is finished when the tool is back on the hook. That last step, putting the pail back on the nail, hanging the hoe, sweeping the last corner, is where ownership actually lives. Let him skip it, and he never owns anything. Fourth, give him something alive. This is the one nobody expects, and it is the strongest of the 7. A row of tomatoes, 6 laying hens, 1 rabbit, 1 calf, something with a name that will suffer if he forgets and will thrive if he does not. A boy will argue with you about the dishes for a year. He will not argue with a hungry animal. Every one of my 7 had one animal that was theirs alone by the age of 8, and not one of them ever had to be reminded twice about it. Fifth, and this one will fight against everything you have been told. Do not pay him, ever. Not a dollar, not a sticker, not a chart with gold stars on it. There was a study out of Stanford back in 1973 where they took children who already loved to draw and they started paying some of them to draw. And when the paying stopped, those children quit drawing. The ones who were never paid kept going. Paying a child for the work of his own household teaches him that the work is not his and that he is doing you a favor. In my community, a child is never paid for anything inside the family. He may be paid handsomely for hauling hay at the neighbor's place, and he keeps every cent, but not at home. At home, you belong to it. Sixth, give him real tools. Cut down to fit him, not toy tools. This one is worth the drive to town. Buy a real hand hoe and saw the handle down to about 34 inches for a 7-year-old. $9. Buy a real pocket knife around age 7, a small one, about $12, and teach him to sharpen it and to cut away from his thumb. Build him a step stool so he can reach the sink. A child handed a plastic tool knows exactly what you think of him. A child handed a sharp real one stands up straighter for a week. And seventh, start earlier than feels comfortable. 3 years old, not 5, not 8, 3. A 3-year-old will follow you anywhere and thinks work is a privilege because he is not yet allowed to do it. That is the window. Give him one job at 3 and he will never once ask why he has to. If your child is 9 and you miss that window, you did not ruin anything. And here is the reset that worked on Eli. 3 weeks of silence. You give him one job, real consequence, whole job, no pay, and you do not mention it again. Not once. No reminding, no nagging, no checking. Let it fail if it fails. 21 days of you keeping your mouth shut will do what 2 years of asking never did. It took me the better part of a year to say that sentence to my own son and undo the one I said in the barn. Now let me tell you why any of this matters past the dishes. A woman named Marty Rossman at the University of Minnesota went back through data that had followed the same people from little children into their mid-20s, and she published it in 2002. The single best predictor of whether a young adult was finished with school, launched in a career, self-sufficient, and had decent relationships was whether they had begun doing chores at 3 or 4 years old. And here is the part that ought to stop you cold. Children who did not start until 15 or 16 got no benefit from it at all. None. It was not the chores, it was the age. There is a study out of Harvard that followed men for over 75 years, and when they went looking for what actually made a life go well, they came back with 2 things: loving relationships and a work ethic formed in childhood. Not grades, not money, not talent. So understand what is actually at stake in your kitchen tonight. It is not a clean room. A child who is entertained instead of needed grows into an adult who does not know what he is for. And I have met a great many of them, and they are not bad people, and they are not lazy, and they are tired in a way that sleep does not fix. In my community, the highest thing you can say about a child is not that he is smart. It is not that he is good. We say he is a help. That is the whole word. That is what we are aiming at from the time he is 3 years old. And every hen and every hoe and every 4:30 morning is only ever pointed at that one word. A child who is needed does not have to be entertained. So here is what I want you to do tonight, before bed, not this month, tonight. Walk through your own house and find one job that will visibly fail if nobody does it. And give that job to your child whole, and tell him it is his now, and tell him you will not remind him. Then be quiet about it for 21 days. That is the entire thing. It costs you nothing, and it will be the hardest 3 weeks of parenting you have done in a while, because the failing part is on purpose. Come down to the comments and tell me which job you picked and how old your child is, and then come back on Friday and tell me what happened, because I read every one of these and I want to know. The folks in my community already know this. I am saying it out loud for the ones outside of it who were never told. Next time, I am going to show you what my grandmother did with a wooden spoon and a kitchen chair to end an argument between 2 children in about 90 seconds, without ever once separating them or asking who started it. And it works on grown men too, which I did not learn until I was 40. Until then, put the tool back on the hook and remember that a child does not need to be entertained by you. He needs to be needed by you.